Good morning and welcome to Mason Clinic in Shelton, Washington for MasonWebTV powered by HCC's coverage of the inaugural Bikers for Babies fundraiser for Mason General Hospital presented with the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group number 2047 of Bremerton, Indian Motorcycles of Bremerton, and Brothers Power Sports. Today's motorcycle ride is a fundraiser for the birth center and labor and delivery unit that is at the Mason General Hospital. My name is Diedrich Allen. I am at the main entrance to Mason Clinic on North 13th Street. In the next hour or so, you can, we can expect to see as many as 400 motorcycles roar by. Until then, we will be talking with several people about this event, including the president of the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group number 2047, Eric Barnhart, Abel Eaton, brand specialist for Indian Motorcycle of Bremerton, Shannon Barnhart, a member of the IMRG number 2047, and Director of Patient Access at Mason Health, and Mason Health Birth Center Manager Chris Gaw, among others. We will also be checking in with Billy Thomas at Hood Canal Communications Office in Union. Billy will be reporting as the bikers roll by on their way here. Several riders will be live streaming their rides along the way, and we'll try to drop those in from time to time to show what it may look like, well, from a rider's perspective. But wait, there will also be a check presentation which will carry live for you as well. So stick around. There is a lot to get to and a lot to cover. And since we just started here, I think we will start out with one of our interviews, and we'll talk to the First Lady and the President. This is their own thing, First Lady and the President of the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group, number 2047. And I just had a technical issue, and let me fix that. What happened to it? It's around here somewhere. Okay, there it is. And let's get right into the interview. So we're talking to Shannon and Eric Barnhart. And how do you guys figure out how to organize a motorcycle ride in the middle of everything else you have going on?
Well, I can tell you the organization part, we've been actually planning this. It's been in the works for over a year. And it doesn't fall on to one person to try to get this done. Like Shannon and associated friends, like Christine Elwanger with Abel, they've all had previous conversations about the fundraisers, what our chapter can do for the community and everything. So it really encompassed a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. Kevin Taylor, he is one of my members. He's the road captain. He was integral, putting a lot of the pieces together, getting the route. Abel Eaton, who's the brand specialist for the Indian Motorcycles out of Bremerton, he's got experience with fundraiser. And then, of course, Brothers Power Sports. They've been huge. They're letting us use their property to the stage. Jen, the people at the hospital, everybody that's been involved. And if I was to tell you everybody who it took to put this together, it would be a long list of names. But I will tell you, it was a huge collaboration between the hospital, Brothers Power Sports, Indian Motorcycle out of Bremerton, and of course my Indian Riders Chapter 2047.
So I got out of step here. So I need you. We're going to take a step back, and I want each of you to introduce yourselves and tell everybody your role, because I skipped that part in the beginning. But let's do that now. So okay. Eric, since you're talking, we'll start with you.
Right. So I'm Eric Barnhart. I'm the inaugural president for the Indian Riders Chapter number 2047 out of Bremerton. And a little background with that: all the Indian dealerships, they have rider chapters in which the Indian motorcycle owners and now non-Indian motorcycle owners can come together in a group, a community group, and we get together. We have monthly meetings, we have rides, barbecues, cookout, and it's just a big community meeting of like-minded people.
And Shannon?
Yeah, my name's Shannon Barnhart. I am the Director of Patient Access here at Mason Health. I've worked here for about 10 years. I am referred to as an Indian motorcycle enthusiast. I'm the first lady or wife of Eric Barnhart, and a member of the Indian Riders group as well.
So let's go back to, I mean, Eric talked about it, but let's go back to the beginning of how this all started. Whose idea was it in the first place?
Well, no, go ahead, Shannon. Nope.
Okay. I think that it was a little bit of a collaboration. We participate with neighboring chapters. One that we're very close with, Auburn Rider Group, Indian Riders Group, annual fundraiser called the Wigged Out Ride. And about this time last year, they're actually advertising it again right now. We participated with them on that ride, and it ended at the Brothers Power Sports Complex. And I was talking with them because our riders group was fairly new at that time. It was just starting up. Talking with the then president about the fundraiser and connecting that I did work for Mason Health, and our group really wanted to be part of the community. So got me thinking about what kind of opportunities we could have there, connecting with you know, the community fundraiser opportunities. It got me thinking what I could do for Mason Health. So I got with development and Jen Capps to see if there was something that the group could do together. And Jen set up several meetings with Arla and the team. And like Eric said, over the course of the last year and a lot of unforeseen delays, we continued to drudge forward, and Bikers for Babies was born, basically.
And Eric, did you have anything to add to that?
No, she's got it covered. She's been there since day one. So,
so let's talk about the event and who decided on the route.
The route was decided amongst the chapter with my road captain, Kevin Taylor, and of course with Abel. And like previously discussed, we want to kind of showcase different parts of the county, Kitsap County, Mason County, to the people that are coming from the different areas that don't normally ride in this area. So we picked the ride taking like the old Belfair Valley, very nice country road, and along 106 along the canal, beautiful ride along the canal, and then coming up through McCreevy into Shelton, and then doing the big loop around 3. And it just kind of showcases the area, what we have to offer, the beautiful scenery and the beautiful roadways that we have.
Now, I asked Abel about this, but I won't do the specific question to you, but do you envision any traffic issues, especially when you get into Shelton?
The only traffic issue, so how we're trying to devise, because right now we have like over 400 people interested in going, and which would be awesome if we have that. So what we're going to do, we're going to break them down into smaller groups led by what we call road captains. And road captains, they're the riders, the experienced riders who will actually lead the groups. So we could have groups, say, maybe from 15 to 25. And with the riders that are participating, most of them have rode in large groups before. They know how to handle themselves, so we obey all the traffic laws. We do. We're not anticipating any backlog with traffic. We're not expected to impede anything, and it should flow very well. Because, like I said, we'll break the rides up into smaller rides, and they'll be separated by 10 or 15 minutes, so we don't have 200 or 300 motorcycles in this huge formation just shutting down intersections and everything. We don't want to impact the communities or people transiting back and forth with that. So hopefully we've got it pretty much well under control. My road captain, Kevin Taylor, he's deconflicted with the local law enforcement in both counties, making them aware of what we're doing, and they're giving us the thumbs up. There should be no issues, and no issues are expected.
Now, can we shift gears to the fundraising side of this? And I think Shannon might be more versed on what these funds are going for.
Yeah, the funds are going to be helping raise money for a fetal telemetry monitoring event, equipment. And Arla, maybe I'm using the incorrect term for it. You can help me out on that. But it's a necessary item that Birth Center is needing to help monitor the unborn baby during labor. And it was a funding item that we identified last year when we were looking at a list of things that the hospital really needed. And it really jumped out at us as something that we thought we could help with.
Now, Shannon, do you ride yourself, or are you just a passenger in these things?
Oh, no, I ride. Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. So, what do you ride?
I have a Chieftain Limited. It's a 2019 Chieftain Limited, and I also own a Indian Scout. They're both Indians.
And Eric, what is your preferred?
Well, I only have one motorcycle. I have a 2018 Indian Chieftain Limited bagger as well.
Now, when we look at the weather forecast, I know we don't want to talk about this, but may not be ideal. Does that really matter to riders?
No, not really, because if you ride in the Pacific Northwest, guess what you're used to? You're used to a little bit of rain. We've been monitoring the weather closely, and right now I think it's going to be pretty favorable. The temperature's going to be nice. Hopefully we'll just have a little bit of clouds, and that's it. But if we do have a little bit of rain, it would not be an unusual occurrence for anybody that rides up in this area.
No, if you ride in the Northwest, you pretty much can handle a few sprinkles. I think the air quality was a bigger concern for us, and it hopefully will get better before the weekend as well.
Anything the two of you would like to add to this at all?
I just want to mention too that as we started seeing the numbers of interested riders or parties climb, I reached out very last minute to coworkers and community members, and I've had some people step up without even hesitation to help out at the event at the staging area, collecting money and be willing to do whatever, and it's been great. So I truly appreciate everybody that's just been willing to step in at the last second and help out here.
And we're back here live at Mason Clinic. You can see Jen Capps and Arla Shepherd Bull in the tent there. I'm behind the camera, obviously. And now we're going to try something and go to Billy Thomas out in Union. Let's see what we have here. And there is the view. And Billy, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear.
Okay, barely hear him. Let me see what we have. Say something again, Billy. All right, let's try one more time, Billy. How are things in Union?
It's pretty quiet at the moment. We've had some passerbys looking over, wondering, "Hey, what's HCC doing out here streaming?" But I think in a few minutes they're gonna really see what's going on as all these bikes come by. It's gonna be pretty exciting.
See, hear, smell, maybe even.
Yeah.
Billy's got the more dangerous job. He's on the roadside, but he's protected by it. What you brought a vehicle out with you, just to protect you?
I've got an HCC van behind me, so people have something to look at as they drive by and don't try to turn into the driveway here.
Yeah, tell us. The office is closed, but you still help people via phone or whatever other way you can, right? Did you hear me?
That's correct.
Okay.
We still have our helpline open 24/7. We have online chat available. So any kind of technical help that customers need, we are still here for them. Just the office is closed to try to keep everyone safe.
Yes, we all want to be safe out there, and we will check in with Billy as the motorcycles show up, and I would imagine that's going to be, next 20 minutes or so. We haven't heard what it's like from the starting line, but we will check in with Billy again. Okay, Billy, thanks for chatting with us. We'll get back to you shortly.
Thanks, Diedrich.
All right, and we are back with just, we'll let Billy relax and see what he can do. And we'll continue with our interview series. And next up, we're going to hear from Abel Eaton.
Well, Abel, I want you to introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and how you got involved in this event.
I'm Abel. I am the Indian Motorcycle Brand Specialist at Indian Motorcycle of Bremerton. I got involved in this event through some of the Indian Motorcycle Rider Group members that also work at the hospital. We did an event this past winter, the Fantasy Forest, with them, and then it's kind of branched. During that meeting, we had discussed about doing a fundraising ride, and then things have just kind of snowballed from there, I guess you could say.
So what goes into organizing a ride such as this?
A lot. Dealing with the current situations with COVID, it has been a lot more challenging than a normal year. Normal year, you pick your route, you market it to the best of your abilities, and you just do it. This year, we've had to move the event 4 or 5 times as far as dates, and then we had to put all the safety precautions in play to make sure that everybody could stay safe and enjoy this event to the best of the abilities.
What is included in the safety portion of it? What do you need to think about?
So we have to think about how many people are going to show up for the event, having a space that's big enough to house that many people. So say if we have 50 people and they all have to be socially distanced, masked up, we have to have a very large area for that many people to be socially distanced. Thankfully for us, we also have a racetrack that is acres and acres and acres of open land to spread people out and keep everybody safe.
So let's talk about, let's talk a little bit about Indian Motorcycle of Bremerton. Tell us where you're located, and somebody who hasn't been in your store, what would they expect if they walk in?
So we're part of Brothers Power Sports. Brothers Power Sports has been on the Kitsap Peninsula for 70 years. We're located kind of in the industrial area of Bremerton, if you like to call it that. We're down by the dealerships. We're a very open, down-home, mom-and-pop motorcycle dealership. We're still owned by the current family that started it 70 years ago. It's trickled down to the grandson of the original, of the founders, and the nephew. If you trickle it down, we're all massive enthusiasts here. I just happen to be the brand specialist for Indian Motorcycle, and it's a brand that I embrace in my personal life. I just got done doing a 1,000-mile road trip in 2 days. So,
wow. Where did you go on this road trip?
I went to Coeur d'Alene in northern Idaho, then down through Oregon, through Central Oregon, through John Day, back around and home.
So getting back to this ride, the route, how do you choose a route for a ride like Bikers for Babies?
So originally the route was much different and involved stops and scenic viewpoints with time constraints and not being able to stop and congregate everywhere. We decided to make the route right around 2 hours, which for most riders is like a good, comfortable ride time. Like, you're not going to get too tired. You're not going to want to stop. It fits the distance of most gas tanks. So if you don't have a big touring motorcycle, you have a smaller one, you can still participate in the ride and have a good time.
Can you highlight some of the areas we're going to take on this route?
So we're going to be starting at Motorsports Northwest, which is Bremerton Raceway. We're going to go through Old Belfair Highway, down along South Shore, so we'll be near the Hood Canal, and up into Shelton past the hospital. And then back down around the water through Highway 3 and back.
Do you know how many bikes to expect on this, or is this too early to tell?
Right now, based off of some early numbers that we're seeing, last I checked, we were right around 200 motorcycles.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So how does that work with road sizes and local law enforcement and things like that?
So we've notified all of the county sheriffs that will be going through Kitsap and Mason. When you have a larger group, we break it down into groups of 20, and then we stagger them 5 to 10 minutes apart to not have a massive traffic, or if you have 200 motorcycles rolling through Shelton, it could pretty much shut the town down for quite a few minutes. So we stagger them out so traffic doesn't get bogged down. And
I'm just thinking about the route, and in general, you try to make it so it's as easy as possible to make turns. Is that correct?
yes, so we always think of safety when doing a ride. So we try to limit blind left-handers, so where you're crossing oncoming traffic, where traffic would either have to stop or stop the group midway. You never want to break up a group as they're riding. You're always stronger in numbers than if you get broken up. And then if you broke up, you have to stop the group, regroup, get back together, get back on the road.
I'm just thinking about, you're coming down Old Belfair Highway and you come into Belfair and you get that four-way stop. How do you handle that?
Worked it out that we have some volunteers, and we talked to Sheriff's Department, and they're okay with us using flaggers to stop traffic as people go through that four-way into the right to turn on 3 to go north.
In traffic lights, is the amount of bikes coming through usually is not an issue. You're doing them in waves.
That's why 20 tends to work. It's kind of like a magic number. If you have timed lights, usually 20 riders can get through in a time. So
getting
that
back
just comes from 20 years of putting together rides and learning this stuff the hard way.
Experience. Getting back to the ride, why did you choose to get involved in this ride? What was the reason for doing it? Is there a personal story here?
We, as a motorcycle community, we always like to give back to our local communities as much as we can. Being that we're an Indian motorcycle dealership that has a riders group attached to it, and that the group is split pretty much Mason Kitsap, we were looking for some of a foundation or something that we could do every year to make a difference, difference in the community. And this seems to be just a great partnership for us. It's tied to members that actually work at the hospital, and we've gotten to know the team and the groups that are there, and it just seems like a good fit for us.
How do I put this? If, okay, pretend I'm a motorcycle rider and I'm just out for my own little ride and I run across this group. Can somebody just say, hey, I want to join this group? Or how would you handle that? Or how do you know?
So how do you handle, like, if you come across the big ride, or how do you come across, like, most in a big ride, you don't just typically jump in because it's in formation. It's pretty strict during the riding process. Everybody stays pretty tight, but if anybody sees any of the flyers or any of the multiple signs that we're going to have up that day, yeah, anybody that has a motorcycle is welcome. But once the ride starts, it's pretty much locked in.
And we're back here live at the roadside or street side, North 13th, main entrance of Mason Health. Just wanted to show you another view of our cameras here. Let's see, that's another camera shot. And we'll be bringing you this coverage as it does unfold. And we are not done with our interviews. We do want to talk about why this event is going on and what the funds are being raised for. And to do that, we had an opportunity to talk with Chris Kaw and Jen Capps.
Chris, you are the birth center manager, and one thing we didn't talk about is what this ride is benefiting. So tell us what it's benefiting. Why are we doing this, Bikers for Babies? What are we doing here today?
Well, first of all, let me just tell Abel how grateful we are. We're so excited for this to happen, and really grateful for that community service that they're, just diving right in and joining up with us. We really, really, truly are grateful.
Thank you.
This piece of equipment is actually something that we use when a mom is laboring. So it's a type of fetal monitor, and for anybody who's delivered in a hospital before, they know that they generally get monitored. There's some straps that go around the mom's belly, and that monitors their contractions, and it also monitors the baby's heartbeat so that we can keep an eye on things. And if a mom comes in and she's not getting any medications during her labor, like she's not getting Pitocin, which helps with the contractions, they can get up and walk around and be free to move, which is what we really want for a mom who's in labor. It helps their labor progress faster, makes them more comfortable. But sometimes we have to augment labor or help that labor along with Pitocin, a medication. And when they're on that medication, we have to monitor really closely. In fact, we need them on continuous monitoring. And so a mom like that would not be able to get out and move because they're attached to this monitor that's on a big cart. This piece of equipment is called a Telemetry Fetal Monitor, and it allows that mom to get up. She can go out and walk in the halls and move around just like anybody else. So it's a big deal. It helps a lot with labor. It helps that mom be a lot more comfortable, and it allows us to safely keep an eye on what's going on inside of the womb with the baby. So that's what that's.
How big is this piece of equipment, you said?
Well, this one I haven't seen it in person. We had an older model that is at the end of its life, and it's probably bigger than the one that we'll be getting. I would say it's the size of a smaller dictionary, that we usually put it on a pole, and then the straps come off of it and go around the mom's tummy as well. So we just have them push a IV pole around with this hanging on it. So.
And what are we looking for funds? How much money do you need to purchase this? Is it a question for you or Jan?
Jan, do you know what the total was?
So the fetal telemetry monitor unit is $10,000.
And do we have, are we close to that goal, or do we have any idea where we are?
Well, it's still too early to tell, but we've raised quite a bit for the funding item for Mason Health, and it's for the fetal telemetry unit for the riders group for the ride that's coming up. We also have an abdominal probe for $6,950 and a modular storage unit for $21,000. So the total is $37,950 in aggregate. It's a partnership between the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group and Brothers Power Sports and Indian Motorcycle of Bremerton and the Quality Care Open Golf Tournament Steering Committee. So we've had several sponsors step up. Cerner's going to give $5,000. We've also have Electrocom Communications, which has given $1,500, and then we have several donations from individual and private donors. So, we've raised almost $7,000 or $8,000 almost to this point. And if all those 200 riders show up, we'll be looking really good. And so we have some other funders that are going to come through probably a few weeks after the ride is over. But we're looking really good to funding all of that.
So back to Chris. Now let's say that we've got enough money to buy the monitor, the fetal monitor. What else is necessary? What else do you need in the birthing center?
Well, coming up soon, there are going to be, Jen talked about the 2 items that are on, our list for this year, which was a probe, abdominal probe for the ultrasound that we have in the birth center. And we use that in many instances. And then there was a modular storage unit, which is something that we need to be within the standards set out by like Department of Health and our company that surveys the hospital. So those just keep us in standard of care. Coming up in the next year or 2, we are going to be in need of a couple of baby warmers, which are radiant warmers. They're very expensive, about $25,000 each. And we use those after delivery, and especially in cases where babies need some resuscitation and help after delivery. We have 2 that are we can't get parts for anymore to keep them going. So we need to look at replacing those. And then we also are going to have to replace some birthing beds down the road here in the next couple of years. So it's an ongoing process. You have to replace things every so many years because the equipment gets old and no longer safe. And so we want to make sure that we have everything at the standard of care that it needs to be.
So Chris, tell us more about the birth center. How busy are you on any given day?
So we have gotten much busier, and we of course expect to get really busy this winter with maybe some COVID babies. We've gone up by, we're expecting to increase by about 50 deliveries this year, which for a small unit in a rural community is a lot of deliveries. We say we average about 30. That's gone up. We did have one, April was kind of a lower month, an unusual month, which can happen and usually does in any given year. But all of our other months have been well above what we had planned. And we've broken the record actually here twice in the last, just over a year. Last August, we had 40 deliveries, and then we had 40 again this spring. In March, we had 40 deliveries. So we had not had that many in the past. So definitely we're on the increase, and we're seeing a lot more moms coming in and babies for outpatient services too. We're getting a lot more outpatient services than we used to, almost double what we used to have. So it's been very busy, very steady, which we like. We like it to be busy. It's been fun to see the growth.
When you say outpatient, what do you mean by that?
So we have babies who maybe need to have their, there's a level that we check with babies after they're born called the bilirubin level. And some people are familiar with jaundice, which makes the baby's skin turn a little bit yellow. It's a natural phenomenon that occurs after birth, but we have to keep a really close eye on that level to make sure it doesn't get too high. And if it does, then we have to do some other things like phototherapy. And so we'll have babies come in and get rechecked so we can watch that. We also have them come in to keep a really close eye on their weight. We have babies come back, or moms typically, for lactation consultations. We have 5 certified lactation consultants who are also RNs in the department. So we have them come back for help with breastfeeding. And then we have moms who come in for any number of reasons. They might be not feeling well. They might think they're having preterm labor, so early contractions. They might think their water broke. There are a lot of things that they come in for. They might even come in for some medications that they need ahead of time. So, different reasons.
And back at the roadside here at Mason Clinic, Diedrich Allen behind the camera. And we have Billy Thomas up at Union just monitoring the situation. I'm not going to go to Billy just yet. We checked in with him earlier. Still waiting to find some of the streams, the live streams online out there. Still looking or making her way to see what it's like for those out on the road. And yeah, it's weather's turning out to be okay at the moment. Doesn't look like we might, hopefully knock on wood that we don't see any rain. Wind has come in and cleared out most of the smoke, so that's not an issue. You want to come on out and say hi to us, bring your mask, and drop on by, and enjoy the day. We do have a couple more interviews to pass along to you, a little bit more on what's this event and how it came about with Gen Caps.
I'm Jennifer Capps. I'm the Chief Development and Communication Officer for Mason Health, and I also work with Mason General Hospital Foundation, and we are just so thrilled about this year's Bikers for Babies event.
I want to talk about having to move the event first before we get into anything else.
With COVID-19 and all the nuances and complications that comes with that, we have had to, think about our strategy, and a lot of the logistics. And so, the date, when we first thought about it in 2019 pre-COVID, everything was on the table. And so now with COVID, happening, in March of this year and really, making everything a little bit more challenging, we've, tried to, rearrange our event details based on kind of the different phases and where we are with COVID-19. And it did take quite a few changes to, find the right timing, find the right date, and to put all the safety precautions in place, and, to really time it such that, all of the sponsors are able to support it and be involved. All of our, media partners are able to support the event, and that we can put something on safely for the riders and the community, at large, and for our patients and for our staff members.
So how does this work in with because you couldn't hold the golf tournament like you have. Sure. And you, basically this is a golf committee event, is that right?
Well, so it's actually a partnership between the Quality Care Open Golf Tournament, which Coach Jack Stark has been the chair for more than a quarter century, and the Brothers Power Sports and the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group of Bremerton, and the Indian Motorcycle of Bremerton group. So it's really a partnership between golf and the Bikers for Babies kind of steering committee and group. So it's a true partnership, and it's really bringing a lot of folks together.
And this is, the Quality Care Open is always, you have great sponsors for that, and they kind of shift their focus more into this event.
Yeah, well, because it's a joint effort between, the Bikers for Babies and the Quality Care Open, a lot of the sponsors that support the golf tournament are also helping to support the fund and item portion of the overall fundraising goal. That's, the telemetry unit, as well as the other two pieces of equipment, the probe and the shelving unit. So they're still supporting the golf tournament, but it's part of this joint partnership effort, which is really good because it's really bringing people together and lifting folks up at a really challenging time.
So how does this support the mission and the vision statements?
Well, at Mason Health, our mission statement is United Community Empowered People, Exceptional Health. And it plays into that because we're bringing all segments of the community together, whether you're a motorcycle enthusiast or lover or not, or you love babies, or you just love the hospital and you love our patients and community. It's something that everyone can participate in, either in person or virtually. And then, part of our vision at the hospital is that we want to provide the best patient-centered care in the Pacific Northwest. And, as we look forward to future generations, the future of healthcare in our community, this is really in line with that, and making sure that we have top-level equipment that's going to support the moms and the new little ones that are going to join us in the community. So it's really striking on, all chords. And then, of course, the foundation, their mission is to support Mason Health and its goals and strategic initiatives and objectives.
So in one of our planning meetings, Jen, you talked about maybe getting in a sidecar. Do you want to do that?
I would love to do it. I talked to my husband about it, and he's like, I don't know, safety first, but it's certainly something I would love to do if we're able to pull it off. I just don't know yet. So we'll see, fingers crossed. I'm a little bit of a chicken too, because those motorcycles don't have any doors. So, I'm a little bit older now. I need to kind of think about safety. I'm not as brave as Abel that can take charge of a motorcycle that weighs about 1,000 pounds. That's just a little more than I can take on, but it's a cute idea. I would love to do it, at least for maybe a segment, of it.
I'm sure we can convince you to get on a bike at least.
Well, maybe I
blocks.
could meet him out there and just kind of do a little, announcement from the sidecar with the scarf and the goggles. That might be kind of fun. I could probably be talked into that.
Okay, Jen. Let's see. Anything else you want to
brain
cover?
is going off,
Yeah.
into imagination land.
Anything else you want to cover?
No, I think we're good. I just wanted to say in closing, I'm so grateful, for the Bikers for Babies Steering Committee. I wanted to thank Shannon Barnhart for bringing the idea to us, who is the Director of Registration Services and Patient Access here at Mason Health. I wanted to thank Arla Shepherd-Bull, the marketing coordinator. She's been my right hand helping to bring this together. Diedrich, you've been great. And I just want to thank our sponsor, Cerner, who is stepping up as one of our largest sponsors this year, for donating. They always support the golf tournament, and they were happy to step up again. And, I just thank everybody on the steering committee, and Abel and Eric Barnhart, the president of the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group of Bremerton. He's been great. And Kevin Taylor and all those folks. So I'm just really excited that we're able to bring everyone together, and we're doing new things here in 2020, and it's a bright spot in a very challenging time, and I'm happy to be a part of that.
And we're back here at Mason Clinic in Shelton, just waiting for some motorcycles to show up. We were just talking about it, and we think everything's running a little bit behind. If we go to the webcam or the live feed from Union, still not much happening there. We just have to wait. I'm unable to connect with any of the riders out there. I can't find those feeds, guys. I don't know where they are. Billy, if you can hear us, are you hearing any rumbling off in the distance from Union? If he's there.
Not yet. There's a few cars that are coming by. I think people are trying to get over to the post office before they can't get in. But it's generally pretty quiet out here.
Well, I saw a
the riders are just enjoying the scenery.
Oh, I saw a motorcycle go by earlier. I thought maybe that was the start of things, but no, it was just a single motorcycle out for a ride.
No, I think he was just a lone ranger.
Yeah, good day for a ride though. It's not too warm. Weather seems to be pretty good, and we'll just see what happens, and we'll get back to Billy when we can. Thanks, Billy. Billy Thomas from Hood Canal Communications out in Union, and I have to wait for my software to catch up to me again, because of course it would have to. I don't know if Billy's the jinx here or not, because things decided to just go a little weird on me as I tried to shift views. So we are back here in Shelton, waiting for motorcycles to show up. I was told that Scott Hilburn from the Hospital District Commission will be showing up here probably, well, I'm going to assume I was told about 11. We'll see if we can't convince him to join us in one of our interviews here. And speaking of interviews, not quite part of the Bikers for Babies, but something interesting going on with the hospital. It's called Practice Green Health. And I had an opportunity to talk a little bit about that with one of the organizers just a little while ago, and this will take a little bit of time, about 15 minutes. But let's hear from. Let's hear about. Oh, wait a minute, Practice Green Health. We'll be back. Here is the interview about Practice Green Health.
To Scott Rich, he is Growth and Marketing Director for Practice Green Health. Now, Rich, tell us, what is Practice Green Health?
Practice Green Health is the largest nonprofit organization working with hospitals and health systems around sustainability and climate change. And our main role is to help our hospitals and provide the resources and tools they need to create those strategies and operational efficiencies in their own hospitals.
Can you give us an example of what that would be?
So for example, hospitals will join Practice Green Health, and we have a suite of tools and resources available to them. For example, if a hospital is looking at its to try to do some waste reduction strategies. As we all know, hospitals have a big footprint when it comes to lots of areas, from energy to waste to a lot of things. And so if a hospital is really trying to reduce its waste footprint, meaning they want to divert a lot of waste that's going to the landfill, they want to try to recycle more, they want to try to reduce the amount of product packaging that's coming in through materials management in their supply chain, we have some toolkits and resources that'll help them kind of figure that out, whether it's strategies to implement in their own hospital or utilizing a sustainable purchasing guide so that they have the tools to work with their supply chain partners, and just ways to be more efficient and recycle and reduce their impact.
So I was looking over some of your website. Found it interesting, the one statistic that stood out. Hospitals generate over 29 pounds of waste per bed per day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just overall waste, or is it specific?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different kinds of waste in hospitals. That's the interesting thing about just a regular office building. Probably has maybe just a couple of categories of waste. They might have solid waste and then maybe paper waste. Or hospitals are a little different though. We've got HIPAA waste, right? That's got specific patient information that has to be disposed of in a certain way. We've got red bag waste, which is medical waste. We've got hazardous waste, if you think of chemotherapy and other kind of chemicals that we need for certain things. We've got pharmaceutical waste. And then we've got all the other regular waste, the stuff that goes in the waste basket. If we're doing some kind of a construction project or remodel, we've got construction waste, like others. But we have about 5 or 6 different categories of waste in a hospital setting, and they each require different methods and procedures in order to process that waste. But there's also best practices around how to reduce about the shortages of PPE. And so part of that is the gowns and the protective equipment that our hospital first responders and first line professionals wear. A lot of those are single-use disposable. But we have a lot of our hospitals out there that do reusable isolation gowns and reusable PPE. And so those gowns are then taken to laundry. And so they get to use those time after time. Now that creates another kind of impact because there's more water being used, but you kind of have to weigh what's going to the landfill, and you know, a lot of those gowns, those disposable gowns, are made of plastic, and we all know about the harms of plastic. So yeah, there's a lot of waste, a lot of different strategies that a hospital can take. The other thing too around waste is around education too, educating the hospital employees not to put certain types of waste in the red bags, because red bag waste is 5 times more expensive than the regular type of waste that goes to the landfill. So if people are, you know, in the nurse's station are putting pizza boxes in the red bag waste instead of in their proper place, that's going to be 2 or 5 times more expensive for the hospital to dispose of that instead of segregating the waste. And so there's a lot of education that goes into that too.
You mentioned water. Is it just reducing the use of water, or is there ways that you help hospitals better, I guess, reuse thees water? Does that make sense of what I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, I think in any sort of resource that we have, whether it's personal in our own homes or whether it's in our place of businesses or certainly hospitals, any sort of resource that we use, we want to try to use it in an environmentally friendly way, and conserve our resources. We, you know, out in the Pacific Northwest, we always think because it's rainy most of the time, you know, 9 months of the year it seems, that we have a lot of rain. But you know, Washington State and Oregon, where I am based, we're in a drought right now. And even though many of us live close to water sources, the ability to have fresh water and drinking water all the time isn't guaranteed. So just being a good steward of our water resources and not wasting those resources is really important. And also how we get that water. Is it a water is continually being left on all the time in certain situations, whether that's in a lab function or in others? Do we provide bottled water for our employees that has another waste component to it? Because now we've got, you know, plastic So there's different ways to think about that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different strategies that we try to help hospitals implement when it comes to all of our resources.
You have a topic on your website that says greening the OR. So
Yeah.
how do you green an operating room?
Well, I wish it was as simple as just taking a can of green paint in there and slapping it on the walls. But greening the OR obviously refers to making our operating rooms and our surgical suites more sustainable and more environmentally friendly. Probably the biggest amount of email and requests that we get at Practice Green Health and Healthcare Without Harm comes from the greening the OR. It's usually an operating room nurse or an anesthesiologist or surgical technologist, somebody like that, saying, I work in, the surgery center or the operating suite at XYZ hospital, and I just see so much waste from the blue wrap that a lot of the equipment and tools and stuff is wrapped in, that just you unwrap it, you take your tools, and you throw away that blue wrap. Why are we wrapping it in blue wrap? There's a lot of waste with regards to energy. Most operating rooms have to be set at a certain temperature. But a lot of hospitals leave that temperature on 24 hours a day, even though they might not be utilizing those. So is there a way that we can kind of put some smart technology, smart thermostats on those, hospital room suites or surgical suites to reduce energy? And we turn off all the monitors in those suites and in areas. So there's a lot of waste being generated in an operating room, and so it became such a big deal. And operating rooms kind of are their own beast because they're a part of the hospital that require all the different lines to be working all the time, right? Because you've got the patient on the table, it required a special program, and so we developed that Greening the OR program. We also recognized that there was so much waste and so many opportunities for reducing waste and just environmental stewardship in general in the operating room. That was a great program to start because the hospitals could see some wins, if you will, around sustainable practice, and then they were able to kind of translate some of those best practices throughout the other areas of the hospital.
I was going to ask you about food. What are the steps that can be taken to reduce the waste, or what are we talking about when we talk about food?
Yeah, there's a great question. There's a lot of things in food. We've got a really active food team that works. When you talk about food in a healthcare setting, there's a lot of different things to consider. So everything from the type of food that we get, are we getting it shipped to us from across the country, or are we using local sourcing where we're reducing that carbon footprint and at the same time supporting our local communities and our local businesses and our local economies? Absolutely. Many times, our hospitals use a food management service, and their food comes from a can, and it's coming from Kansas. No offense to Kansas, but if we can get more fresh fruits and vegetables, that's helpful. If we can reduce meat, meat and protein is very expensive, or it's more expensive. So if we can have a more plant-forward menu, that's been deemed by most all registered dietitians as a more healthy menu for not only our patients, but our employees as well. And if our goal is to create a more healthy community, that includes our own employees. So that's an area. And then what do we do with the food that we produce in the cafeteria that's not used? Are we composting it? Are we sending it to the landfill? Or are there ways that we can save some of that food that's perfectly good and give it to people that might be at risk in our community that are undernourished and have hunger issues? So I think there's a lot of different things when it comes to food. Packaging is also a big deal with food too. As the food comes in and it's prepared by our food nutrition services, but is it coming in cardboard? What kind of, everything we bring into the hospital has to, if we can reduce what's coming in, especially on the packaging, then we've kind of reduced that footprint going out too.
When you talk about chemicals and drugs and things like that, how do you suggest handling them?
Well, I am definitely not an expert in that, but luckily the hospital and the health system in the United States is very highly regulated. So the EPA and other state agencies have has to be disposed of in a certain way, and there's guidelines that are provided by the EPA on how pharmaceutical waste is disposed of. You can't just throw it down a drain that ends up going into our water supply system, and then we've got drugs in our water supply system, right? So it has to be done in a proper way. And again, that's another resource that Practice Green Health provides. So when we have timely updates on new regulations and guidance like that, we always have webinars and education series to inform all of our Practice Green Health Network partners on what the latest and greatest regulations are, and how we can help them be sustainable and be compliant.
Well, how many hospitals are currently utilizing your services?
We have over 1,100 hospitals in the US and Canada. I'm mainly responsible for the US and Canada. We have a whole bunch of other hospitals that are more global hospitals, but they fall under a different network. It's called Global Green for Healthy Hospitals, which is part of Healthcare Without Harm, our sister organization. But we have over 1,100 hospitals. Some of those hospitals are standalone hospitals like Mason General. Some of them are part of larger health systems. But yeah, they come in all shapes and sizes, critical access to rural, urban hospitals, academic medical centers, teaching hospitals, you name it. We've got, level 1 trauma, and we got little small hospitals or clinics as well. We've recently also added our partnership availability to ambulatory surgical centers, community health centers, and then just recently in the last month have invited other types of healthcare sector businesses. So companies out there that supply equipment to our hospitals, that supply medical supplies, pharmaceuticals, insurance payers, basically everybody that we consider in the healthcare system are able to join Practice Green Health to help us with our mission to transform healthcare.
Okay, Rich, I thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to ask. I mean, there's tons of stuff to talk about, but to keep this brief, keep it to that.
I will just close by saying how excited we are to have Mason General as a part of Practice Green Health. We've got a lot of hospitals and health systems up and down the Pacific Northwest and even into Vancouver, British Columbia that are Practice Green Health partners. But Mason General is the first of the Washington Rural Health Collaborative group to be at Practice Green Health and in our organization. We hope that some of those other hospitals will join as well, and I think they will, because we want to do our best to provide resources to help all these hospitals that are providing critical access care to their communities to be more sustainable and more efficient.
Oh, we are back live here talking with Scott Hilburn. He just showed up here, and Scott, thanks for taking some time.
Oh, you're welcome. Big event, a lot of fun.
What do you think of this whole idea of a bike ride, a motorcycle ride?
It's really unique. It's nice to see the community come together and support our hospitals, and particularly when there's a need like this for the babies, the baby monitor. So it's a win-win for everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing all these bikes come in here.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many actually showed up, but they were saying there were 400 bikes earlier.
No.
Yeah, 400 bikes.
400
bikes.
Oh my goodness.
So let's 200 would be great, but 400?
Oh wow.
And we're still waiting for them to make an appearance.
they'll be. You'll hear them.
You'll hear them, yeah.
Can you imagine? So, I got a question for you. So.
Sure. Put me on the spot for
yeah,
one.
exactly.
Okay.
So, they're going to drive in the front?
No, they're just going to roll by.
Ah, okay, good.
No, they're not coming to the parking lot.
So that's good, because the patients, can you see, rum, trying to get some sleep in there? No.
It's going to be bad enough with just the sound, I would think.
Yeah,
I think. I was told they're coming down 13th to go to E over to Olympic Highway North and come back to 13th and then head on out.
Go back out,
right.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
So, well, we'll see. But, Scott, you've been involved with the hospital for how long now?
Total,
yeah.
A little over 20 years.
A little over 20 years.
I did a 6-year term stint back when I was a lot younger. And then recently I've been there now about 15 years now.
15 years on the board?
On the board, yeah,
wow.
Board of Directors. So along with Don and Gail.
Right. You have helped institute a lot of changes.
Part of the team.
Part of the team.
Okay.
And from your standpoint, being here for
that long. Yeah.
that long.
Yeah. I had hair back in those days too.
What's the biggest change that you've seen?
Bringing the whole team together, improving the communication between the physicians, and that gets better for the patients.
Okay. So fundraising for the hospital that can be a challenge. Is that a good way to put it?
Oh yeah, we can't hold our gala.
Right.
My wife is Karen Hilburn Breast Cancer Fund.
Mm-hmm.
She normally has a golf tournament that was canceled. She'll have her event normally in October, November out at Alderbrook. That's canceled. Yeah, so fundraising is difficult.
How, in your opinion, is there anything that the hospital could do better in this COVID situation?
Oh, jeez. I'm really proud of the way the organization stepped up with Eric's leadership to address it. Patient safety and our staff safety is number one. We were one of the first hospitals to have a tent to start testing people. Right. We've improved the turnaround time of the tests, so you get the results back faster. We're still, that's still a work in progress. Mm-hmm. But looking back at it, Diedrich, I said, so what do you think of this? And they said, it's going to go away November 4th, right after the election. I don't think so. I don't think so. So there's all spectrum. Some people think the whole thing is just overblown.
Right.
Others, particularly folks my age, say, hey, this is serious stuff, and we've got to go ahead and pay attention to it.
I just glanced at our feed from Union, and I just saw the last tail end of some motorcycles going by, and I don't see anything at the moment. So we'll spare Billy for the time being on that feed. So they do them in stages, folks, where 20 will go by, and then a few minutes later another 20 will go by, and I don't know if we have any. Arla and Jen Cass were just standing here. I should have asked if we had a number of how many are coming.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a group or not. I just glanced over, and
there they were.
And there were some going at the tail end of it,
So what you need to do is set your cameras up to look down the street here.
Oh, there is a camera. Well, I moved it so it
this angle. So you need to go ahead and get rid of me and get ready for the bike.
Well, if they just left the Union, they'll be here in 15 minutes, I would think.
Patting some people in the back that made this happen. Shannon Barnhart, who rides. She's got a bike. She'll be coming through, and she was a big leader in this. She's a big leader in the hospital, but she's also, really supportive of the community. And she deserves a big high five. And
she does, and I asked her if she was a rider and passenger, and she didn't get offended, but she said, "Oh, I ride."
Oh, she does, yeah.
And I asked her what she rode, and she has 2 bikes.
Yes.
I was, surprised her husband has 1.
Yeah, and she's got 2. That tells you. Yeah.
All right, Scott, I think I'll let you get you off the hot seat, and maybe we'll go to Union in a moment here.
Good.
I want to thank you for taking a little bit of time.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Anytime.
All right.
Okay.
Scott Hilburn is one of our hospital district commissioners, and he's in charge around here. No, not really.
Don't tell Eric.
Don't tell Eric. All right. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thank you.
And let's switch camera views here, and I don't think we can get some sound from Billy, but Billy, are you was that a group of motorcycles that went by? Billy, are you there?
Yeah, just a minute ago. Come by. There's probably 20 or 25 of them. They were all decked out, giving us waves, and they're excited.
So we should see about another 20 or so in a few minutes, I would imagine.
I'd say give it a few minutes, and we'll probably see another group come by. Everybody's very excited, and should be a good time.
So was there a lot of sound or noise? I'm just trying to kill time while I switch cameras on you, Billy, but was there a lot of loud rumbling when going in this group, or did you notice?
There was a few Harley Davidsons in the crowd, we'll say that, yeah.
Okay. All right, Billy, we'll get back. I'll keep my eye on it, and hopefully I'll get to you when the bikes come by. Thanks, Billy. Billy
Great.
Thomas.
Thanks, Diedrich.
From Hood Canal Communications in Union, the Union office up there. Really appreciate him taking a Saturday morning to help us out here. And interesting talk with Scott Hilburn. always good. And yeah, we'll have to figure out what the next step is. As I have a battery warning problem, I will. Well, we talked about the Barnharts, and I think we'll bring that interview back up for those who may not have heard it earlier. Here is the president of the Indian Motorcycle Group, number 2047, and Shannon Barnhart.
So we're talking to Shannon and Eric Barnhart, and how do you guys figure out how to organize a motorcycle ride in the middle of everything else you have going on?
Well, I can tell you the organization part, we've been actually planning this. It's been in the works for over a year. And it doesn't fall onto one person to try to get this done. Like Shannon and associated friends, like Christine Elwanger with Abel, they've all had previous conversations about the fundraisers, what our chapter can do for the community and everything. So it really encompassed a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. Kevin Taylor, he is one of my members. He's the road captain. He was integral, putting a lot of the pieces together, getting the route. Abel Eaton, who's the brand specialist for the Indian motorcycles out of Bremerton, had experience with Fundraiser. And then, of course, Brothers Power Sports. They've been huge. They're letting us use their property, the stage. Jen, the people at the hospital, everybody that's been involved. And if I was to tell you everybody who it took to put this together, it would be a long list of names. But I will tell you, it was a huge collaboration between the hospital, Brothers Power Sports, Indian Motorcycle out of Bremerton, and of course my Indian Riders Chapter 2047.
So I got out of step here. So I need you. We're going to take a step back, and I want each of you to introduce yourselves and tell everybody your role, because I skipped that part in the beginning. But let's do that now. So
Okay.
Eric, since you're talking, we'll start with you.
Right. So I'm Eric Barnhart. I'm the inaugural president for the Indian Riders Chapter number 2047 out of Bremerton. And a little background with that: all the Indian dealerships, they have rider chapters in which the Indian motorcycle owners and now non-Indian motorcycle owners can come together in a group, a community group. And we get together, we have monthly meetings, we have rides, barbecues, cookout, and it's just a big community meeting of like-minded people.
And Shannon?
Yeah, my name's Shannon Barnhart. I am the Director of Patient Access here at Mason Health. I've worked here for about 10 years. I am referred to as an Indian motorcycle enthusiast. I'm the First Lady or wife of Eric Barnhart and member of the Indian Riders group as well.
So let's go back to, Eric talked about it, but let's go back to the beginning of how this all started. Whose idea was it in the first place?
Well, no, go ahead, Shannon. Nope.
Okay. I think that it was a little bit of a collaboration. We participate with neighboring chapters, one that we're very close with, Auburn Rider Group, Indian Riders Group, and they have an annual fundraiser called the Wigged Out Ride. And about this time last year, they're actually advertising it again right now. We participated with them on that ride, and it ended at the Brothers Power Sports Complex. And I was talking with them because our riders group was fairly new at that time. It was just starting up. Talking with the then president about the fundraiser and connecting that I did work for Mason Health, and our group really wanted to be part of the community. So got me thinking about what kind of opportunities we could have there, connecting with the community fundraiser opportunities. It got me thinking what I could do for Mason Health. So I got with development and Jen Capps to see if there was something that the group could do together. And Jen set up several meetings with Arla and the team. And like Eric said, over the course of the last year and a lot of unforeseen delays, we continued to drudge forward, and Bikers for Babies was born, basically.
And Eric, did you have anything to add to that?
No, she's got it covered. She's been there since day one. So,
so let's talk about the event and who decided on the route.
The route was decided amongst the chapter with my road captain, Kevin Taylor, and of course with Abel. And like previously discussed, we want to kind of showcase different parts of the county, Kitsap County, Mason County, to the people that are coming from the different areas that don't normally ride in this area. So we picked the ride taking like the old Belfair Valley, very nice country road, and along 106 along the canal, beautiful ride along the canal, and then coming up through McCreevy into Shelton, and then doing the big loop around 3. And it just kind of showcases the area, what we have to offer, the beautiful scenery and the beautiful roadways that we have.
Now, I asked Abel about this, but I won't do the specific question to you, but do you envision any traffic issues, especially when you get into Shelton?
The only traffic issue, so how we're trying to devise, because right now we have like over 400 people interested in going, and which would be awesome if we have that. So what we're going to do, we're going to break them down into smaller groups led by what we call road captains. And road captains, they're the riders, the experienced riders who will actually lead the groups. So we could have groups, say, maybe from 15 to 25. And with the riders that are participating, most of them have rode in large groups before. They know how to handle themselves, so we obey all the traffic laws. We do we're not anticipating any backlog with traffic. We're not expected to impede anything, and it should flow very well, because like I said, we'll break the rides up into smaller rides, and they'll be separated by 10 or 15 minutes, so we don't have 200 or 300 motorcycles in this huge formation just shutting down intersections and everything. We don't want to impact the communities or people transiting back and forth with that. So hopefully we've got it pretty much well under control. My road captain, Kevin Taylor, he's deconflicted with the local law enforcement in both counties, making them aware of what we're doing, and they're giving us.
I see some motorcycles coming by Union right now. Sorry to interrupt that interview, but here comes roaring on by. And we're back here in Shelton. Expecting motorcycles to roll in here any time now. I hate to interrupt that interview that I just did the second time around. We'll post these interviews on MasonWebTV.com, so if you want to go back and watch them, we will have them for everybody's enjoyment and informational-wise as well. Still waiting. I was told about 3-4 minutes ago that they're 5 to 7 minutes out. Should be coming down the road. And see, this is some of our views here. Let me roll to that one here. That's one view. I'm going to turn Billy loose from Hood Canal. So, Billy, thanks for participating.
Thanks, Diedrich. We had a great time out here.
And we'll turn him loose, and we'll keep it here in Shelton for the remainder of our broadcast for Bikers for Babies 2020. I'm trying to bring in, which one am I trying to bring in here? Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah, don't need that anymore. And that's another view. We'll see, this is another view from across the road. So we'll try to capture all of this as it comes down the street, and including the check presentation. I'm not sure where they plan to do that, but we're still waiting. They should be rolling in any time now. So we'll just keep it right here. Oh, I had another view. Where's my other view? I'll have to bring that in. And that would be camera link. That would be copy that one. Okay, here we go. So this is the other view as we roll. They roll right in front. We'll try to switch views as we can. And the main, back to the main camera, the high view from Mason Clinic. And we will, oops, turn that over here. Appreciate everybody taking some time out of their day to watch the great experiment that this has been. And we will keep it here for the motorcycle. Should be rolling in any time. I don't hear anything. Keep an ear out. We're probably going to hear it before we see it. One of those kinds of things. And let's go to that view. There we go. And then again from that view. I actually don't know if that's a live picture or that actually flaked out on me. And we will. Hope I think I hear him. Get rid of that. Yeah, I believe we're going to have some motorcycles coming here shortly. So I hear them. And here they come. That is not a motorcycle, obviously. Here they come rolling on by our location. And a couple of turned off to for the check presentation, which we'll get to shortly. All right, now I'm not sure where they're going to do this check presentation. As the first riders went by, so let's stand by here. I'm going to have to go away from the microphone and move a camera. Hold on. So there's another group that's supposed to come by. Not the greatest, or not the turnout that was expected, but a decent turnout for that. So we will keep it here for the presentation of a check. I'm not sure how we're going to do this, so stand by. Might have to move, oh, sorry. Might have to move a camera, so stand by here. So an update, we were waiting for the second group to come rolling on by before the check presentation, which will be done right in front of our table. So, or at least that's what I'm told. So if you're still hanging in and wondering what's going on, that's what we're doing. We're just waiting for another group to come in, and it should be a couple of minutes away. So again, if you're just joining us, we're waiting for another group of motorcycles to go by, and we will do a check presentation of all of what's going on. And what I'm told, about 45, 50 bikes showed up for today's Bikers for Babies motorcycle ride. Started in the Bremerton Airport area, went, well, if you want to know specifics, went to Gorst for a short time, hit the Old Belfair Highway, went down Old Belfair Highway, through Belfair, Highway 3 to Highway 106, which is South Shore, down the South Shore to East Dalby, went by Hood Canal Communications location in Union, and then headed up McGreevy and Brockdale to North 13th, rolled by here. They'll go around E Street to Olympic Highway North. They'll hit G Street, go by the hospital again, head down Northcliffe and back to Highway 3 and head back to Bremerton. And those who are participating do get lunch, I believe. It's part of the deal. Fundraiser for Mason General Hospital Foundation for the heart monitor baby telemetry unit at the birth center. And we will be posting all our interviews and such that we did for this event on MasonWebTV.com later today. And we're just waiting for the presentation, check presentation, and the big thank you for participating, as we're still expecting another group of riders to roll on by here at Mason Clinic. So we'll just hang out here. And here, I think, here we come. Switch to that camera angle. And not quite. Kind of see them off in the distance there. And here they come. As they roll on by. So now a check presentation is on the docket as this group just rolled on by here in front of Mason Clinic, Mason General Hospital at the main entrance. And we're just going to hang out until we do a check presentation. Again, we want to thank Billy Thomas from Hood Canal Communications, our partner here, MasonWebTV, which is powered by HCC, Hood Canal Communications, for being our man on the roadside in Union. Only got the one group going by. We'll have to do a little trickery of video and edit this all into a pretty neat little collage of things for later. So we'll do this, and we're going to get to the check presentation. Here we go. Right in front of the sign, Jen. Switch to that view, and we'll have a check presentation. Let's do that. And here's a check presentation.
That's good. No, we want the envelope for the photo. Oh, yeah. Do I need to stay over there with them? Yeah, right here. Down. Yeah, we do need to socially distance. So. Yeah, so that's good. Good. Here? Like this? Am I in your way? Sorry.
Just waiting for the presentation.
Careful. Oh, sorry. Well, that looks good. Okay. Are you good? He's good?
Okay, everybody's good.
Yeah, so we're ready. David, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Go ahead.
So, Jennifer, Mr. Coburn, on behalf of the Chapter 2047 Indian Riders, and Brothers Power Sports, we're happy to present this envelope with you right now with a check for right at $1,000. It's for our first, for our first inaugural fundraiser. So, and we're still running benefit back at the site. So hopefully that figure will go up, and we should have a good figure by the end of the day. But right now, that's what we've been able to raise.
Awesome! Thank you! Thank you!
All right. So happy to do it. Glad we can do it for the community.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you're doing for us, and you're part of our community. You're bringing us all together. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good deal.
Woo! Okay. Awesome.
So about $1,000 raised for the inaugural Bikers for Babies event today. Some 50 or so motorcycles, and that pretty much puts a wrap on everything from here outside of Mason Clinic's main entrance on 13th Street in Shelton. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be broadcasting what we can in the time of COVID. If you're very interested, our next broadcast will be a Mason County Commission meeting next week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deidre Callen.